should be. Rain falling, temperatures dropping here in Columbus as the undefeated Buckeyes collide with the 9-1 Spartans of Michigan State. Both teams control their destiny for this division, and they believe for the college football playoff. Ohio State in good position, but Michigan State, if they win out, should be no lower than 5th and potentially in that top 4 bracket. So the stage is set. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit will talk about the many plot lines, but Kirk, the headline has to be bad news for Michigan State. It appears that Connor Cook, their quarterback who has 32 wins in his career, will not be able to play a role in this game. The Ohio native slammed down last week against Maryland, didn't return for the second half, didn't throw much this week, in obvious pain, a huge disappointment for him. But Kirk, based on what we saw in warm-up, just doesn't look like he can deliver the ball with velocity.
No, this is pretty much what he looked like in warm-ups the entire time. You could tell he just could not put any velocity on the ball, and I think it's been bothering him all week, and so would be shocked if he ends up playing. So you're turning to a couple backups that don't have a lot of game experience. Tyler O'Connor is the true backup. The junior out of Ohio has played some. He threw 11 passes last week against Maryland. And then Damian Terry is a little bit of an X factor to me. More of a dual threat guy, a guy who can run some zone read. I think he plays a big role today if in fact Cook is out, because as an athletic guy that can run zone read, it's a good way to try to slow down an athletic Ohio State defense.
A massive challenge for both those quarterbacks in their first start in this hostile environment. All the emotion of senior day, and a Buckeye defense is playing lights out football. Buckeye offense still looking to click with J.T. Barrett and the running game. They've been strong, but can we see some extra dimensions today?
Well, I think that's the big thing for Ohio State. You're right, they've been a bit one-dimensional, relying so much on Zeke Elliott starting today, and they realize this. J.T. Barrett, not just running, but his ability to, by running, create some one-on-one opportunities on the perimeter. I look for Ohio State to get the ball on the edge to Jalen Marshall, Braxton Miller, Michael Thomas as quickly as they can, because that pass rush from Michigan State is the real deal. So J.T. Barrett will be looking to throw and run today against the Spartans.
And you get a feeling that Braxton Miller, who'll switch back to his old number 5 on senior day, would love to have a big performance and say farewell to this crowd. And I think Urban Meyer might be in a sentimental mood, so we'll keep an eye on that.
You got a feel for that yesterday. You're right. Last game here at the Shoe, and after everything he's done for Urban Meyer and for Ohio State, they may have a wrinkle or two for number 5.
The rain arrived sooner than the forecasters expected it. Temperature 48. It will drop. We could have some snow. That's the blue on the radar approaching Columbus, so the weather could become a wintry mix by the second half of this game. A serious challenge for both offenses, and especially for Michigan State with an inexperienced quarterback. Again, we think Connor Cook will be unable to go today. More on that. Heather Cox on the wet sidelines. More on Cook.
All right, Chris, thanks so much. Mark D'Antonio told me moments ago that there was one determining factor as to whether Connor Cook would go or not, and that word was velocity. How much zip would he have on the ball during warm-ups? Remember, Connor Cook did not throw a ball all week long, so this was the first time he truly tested that shoulder. Then D'Antonio said, we'll go into the locker room, I'll talk to him and make a final decision. But during warm-ups, guys, Connor Cook took 1 out of about every 6 reps and really deferred to his backups. And don't forget, Connor Cook and this entire team have been fueled all week by being the underdogs. They've been thriving and motivated on that. But if Connor Cook can't go, that underdog status just got a whole lot bigger.
For sure, Heather. Cook is not a captain. Much has been made of that, but he is out with the Spartans for the coin toss with the captains of this team. Only the 44th meeting. Buckeyes a commanding lead. They have split the last 4. Yes, both teams have a more hot-blooded rivalry with Michigan, but really it's this game in recent years where the championships have been won and lost. They've been denying each other's dreams, and that's the case again today. Sparty, the big underdogs, without their quarterback, their leader, to kick off here in the Horseshoe. Kevin Cronin to boot it away. Curtis Samuel is deep. And so we'll see J.T. Barrett, who was absolutely on fire in East Lansing last year. Had a 300-yard passing game, 3 touchdowns, Kirk. He also ran for 86 and 2 touchdowns. It's when he really seemed to arrive as a playmaker.
I really think that was his coming out party as a quarterback, and really for Ohio State as a team when they went up to East Lansing and won that football game in the way that they did. But you're right, he ran and he threw, maybe had one of his best games of his career. And we'll be interested to see how Michigan State tries to defend him this year compared to playing so much man-to-man coverage a year ago.
Option look. Barrett, a keeper, hit hard and knocked down. That was Lawrence Thomas, the defensive end. This is a very strong Michigan State defensive front. Clearly the strength of this defense along with the linebackers.
You're exactly right. If Michigan State's going to come on the road, especially with losing potentially your starting quarterback, the defensive line has got to be physical. They've got to win the battle at the line of scrimmage.
And 2nd and 11. Barrett looking to throw. Now tucks it. And knocked down short of the 30. It'll be 3rd down and about 6 for Ohio State.
When you have a dominant defensive line, kind of like we saw really last week with Oklahoma, it can free you up to not have to take as many risks and play man-to-man and isolate an inexperienced secondary that sometimes has been vulnerable this year. So defensive line pressure on these first 2 plays and good coverage there on that play didn't allow Barrett to do anything with the ball.
Recent years, 3rd and long against the Spartans has been trouble, but this has been a trouble spot for this defense, allowing conversions. Barrett will roll, keep it again, and will be stopped short. So Chris Fry came up from his linebacker position, and the Buckeyes go 3 and out.
Yeah, it's funny. Chris Fry, who's from Upper Arlington, Ohio, which Chris is about a 9-iron from right here. I mean, he grew up that close growing up and probably loving the Buckeyes. He makes a great play right here, coming all the way from the backside, and because of his effort here, that play right there prevented J.T. Barrett from getting that 1st down. That's great effort by Fry.
Ohio State's been a slow starting offense. Touchdowns in only 2 of their opening possessions this season. So Cameron Johnston having the best year of any punter in the country, I believe. Aussie boots it down, and in traffic, the fair catch is made by McGarrett Kings at the 25-yard line. So who will get the starting nod? Looks like it'll be Damian Terry, the sophomore from Erie, Pennsylvania, who's a terrific runner, but has had almost no experience throwing the football. Doesn't have a touchdown pass in his career. Hasn't thrown an interception. 1 of 3, Kirk. That's it.
Yeah, a young quarterback, 1 of 3, but he has run the football, and he's known more really for his ability to run. He's a big a big quarterback, 6'3", 235 pounds. And again, we got to reiterate, you're losing Connor Cook, 32 and 4, and now instead of Damian Terry, by the way, it's going to be that kind of game. I think they're going to be flipping back and forth. Tyler O'Connor instead comes into junior.
Terry was in the huddle, and then O'Connor trotted out, so he's making his first start. Gerald Holmes is the tailback, and he's got it. The sophomore who's emerged as one of the workhorses, still fighting for yards, knocked down after a very determined 1st down run.
Yeah, he sure did. He did not give up on that. Nobody wrapped him up, so he just kept keeping his legs churning, and I think Ohio State maybe lost him there in that pile, but good effort there to pick up 8 yards. If you're Ohio State defensively, you've heard all week about Connor Cook. He might play, he might not play. All of a sudden you see the inexperience back there. You're pinning your ears back, and you're coming after a young quarterback, and you're coming after the Michigan State running game.
And 2nd and short. Holmes bangs forward. It'll be just short of the marker. O'Connor got early action in the win over Maryland. They caught him by surprise. It was Mark D'Antonio just feeling that he needed some quality reps. And what does that look like? A smart decision now with Cook getting hurt later in that game?
Because their season, the way it's gone, they have not really blown a lot of people out. And O'Connor, as the backup, hasn't gotten a lot of reps. And what's unfortunate for Michigan State is usually a strength of theirs has been their running game. But they've not been able to run the ball this year the way they have in the past. Most of it's been on their passing game.
Need a half yard on 3rd down. And O'Connor sneaks it, and they will move the chains. 4th-year guy in the system, so he knows everything about this offense. And he's a better runner than Connor Cook, but this is just a big ask against this defense that has been smothering people. They think Ohio State playing better defense now than in the championship run. Do you agree?
No, absolutely. The way Joey Bosa has played, and I think Darren Lee and the rest of Von Bell, the rest of these guys, if you're Josh Perry, they bring a lot of experience to the table. They're playing with a lot of confidence right now as a defense.
Play action. And Connor fires complete near sideline. Catch made by Aaron Burbridge, his 66th of the season in front of Eli Apple.
And see, that's it. When we came into this week, that was the matchup everybody wanted to see, is Burbridge going matched up man-to-man against the Ohio State corners, especially Eli Apple, who's one of the top corners in the Big Ten. And how about the throw by O'Connor? Puts the ball low and away and gives Burbridge a chance, and it's away from the defender. It's a heck of a throw as he's, again, very early in this game trying to settle in and establish some confidence.
Burbridge closing in on 2,000 yards, career receiving yards. 2nd and 4. Scott stutter steps and moves the chains again across the 40. They'll rotate the backs. No Spartan back had more than 100 carries coming into this game. So the opposite of what Zeke Elliott does for Ohio State.
Remember you mentioned the fumbles by L.J. Scott. Watch him here with the 2 hands on top of that football. He's not even thinking about fumbling the ball, or at least trying not to fumble the ball after 2 attempts last week against Maryland and the 2 fumbles. But if you're just tuning into this game and Connor Cook is not in, you're seeing both of these quarterbacks from Michigan State, and I think this will continue the entire game. You're going to flip back and forth and back and forth. I don't expect him to stick with one guy.
Terry back in there on 1st down. Play action. And takes a deep shot. 2 guys tangled up. It's incomplete. No flag thrown. It was Von Bell defending on McGarrett Kings.
Wow.
Got away with one, maybe.
That was shocking. It was early in the route, and a good job of creating a matchup. They feel very, very good about Kings matched up. Even though Von Bell has cover skills, there's a lot of contact. He grabs onto him. That's why the Michigan State contingent was fired up. It was early in the route, not at the later in the route. It was early enough. Very, very surprised the officials did not throw a penalty there on Von Bell.
Had a terrific season. Now Terry flips it to Scott, who cannot escape. Joshua Perry drags him down at the 44-yard line. It'll be 3rd down. One of those seniors has had a terrific career as a leader in this team.
Yeah, absolute great effort by Joshua Perry. I thought that play, once the ball was actually thrown by Terry, it looked like it was set up very nicely for Scott. He had a convoy in front of him, but somehow Perry navigated his way through and only allowed a very short game.
Boy, it is tough to execute this pro-style offense with all the verbiage for an inexperienced quarterback in this noise. Terry, knocked down. Ball comes out. Ohio State says they have it. Sam Hubbard came around the end, hit the quarterback. And Ohio State's defense makes a huge play. Adolphus Washington fell on the ball.
Well, it's almost where's Waldo with Joey Bosa. Bosa goes all the way over here. He's normally here. This allows to see Hubbard get around. Watch how you see Bosa take up 2 blockers. It frees up a one-on-one matchup with Sam Hubbard, who already had 4.5 sacks on the year, and he goes right by Keeler with that speed.
So the Buckeye defense forces a takeaway, and Ohio State will set up shop at the Spartan 32. Only the 9th turnover for D'Antonio's team, and Kirk, he told me the one category he could feel good about, because on paper Ohio State has all kind of edges, is turnovers. Bad start for the offense here. Ohio State from the 32. Elliott behind Barrett in the pistol, and he's got it. Very little running room against that tough front. Plus 13 for the Spartans coming in turnovers. Typically very good. And Ohio State was -1 on the season.
Like I said, if I'm Michigan State and Mark D'Antonio and Harlan Barnett, Mike Tressel, you're putting up a plan together against Ohio State, you've got to take away Zeke Elliott and J.T. Barrett in the running game. You're pinning your ears. You're coming downhill in a hurry, which means J.T. Barrett's going to have to make some plays in the passing game to kind of get them to back off and then get back to the running game.
Elliott slams forward, still fighting hard down inside the 25. You hear the crowd say Zeke. It'll be 3rd and 3.
Yeah, I mean, right now, that's the plan that they have come in. Watch them attacking and getting upfield. This is an option game. It is tough to do when you're getting penetration from those linebackers and defensive linemen. This is 3rd and short. You have a safety that's freed up. Look how quickly he comes down, collapses, and it's one-on-one tackle in the open field, and Nicholson made that play. Here's another 3rd down this time for Ohio State.
They need 3. And Elliott hammers forward. They'll move the chains into the red zone. Final minute of the opening quarter.
Even though they're attacking downhill, that is great blocking by the left guard, Billy Price. Right guard, Pat Elfine, comes up, picks up the linebacker right there, and puts Riley Bulla right on his back. A heck of a block by the right guard, Elfine, out of Pickerington.
They have been ruthlessly efficient in the red zone with Barrett at quarterback this year. Elliott cut inside of Bulla, but flies forward for a big first down gain.
Hey, and when you have safeties and linebackers flying downhill like that, you're either going to get them for a short gain or maybe a loss, or if he keeps his balance there, there's no one left, right? Then he's able to get into the end zone.
Quick first quarter dominated by defense, but the Buckeyes in scoring position. Back after this message and a word from your local ABC station. Buckeyes behind 4 runs from Zeke Elliott have moved into position here following the fumble recovery by Washington.
And usually an area when you talked about the red zone read, where you have the threat of Zeke Elliott and JT Barrett, usually comes into play for Ohio State down in this area.
Option pitch. Elliott pursued and hammered hard by Nicholson at the 9-yard line. 23 red zone trips with Barrett at quarterback. 18 touchdowns and 2 field goals. If there's one reason, Kirk, wouldn't you say why he regained the starting job? It's the red zone.
No doubt about it. I mean, the last 5 games, you can look at the numbers. And by the way, that would rank up around the top in the country. Sure. That percentage, it's close to 77%. Georgia Tech's right there at 77%. So that's how effective they've been the second half of the season.
2 tight end look to the left. Elliott runs that way, but is knocked down. Terrific play by Riley Bulla, who just dove in there to hit the running back low, but they do move the chains. 1st and goal.
Boy, the block on the left side by Taylor Decker and Billy Price. Short yardage. Watch the left side. Watch 54 and 68. You want to follow? You want to know where to go? That's where you go, right there. Then you throw in the right guard, Elfine. That's how you open it up on short yardage. Great job by Decker and Price, and Elfine coming around.
Same formation. This time Barrett looks to throw in the flat. Van Nett makes a catch and is knocked out immediately by Nicholson. They rarely bother throwing down here because the running game is so ruthlessly effective.
Yeah, and I think it shows you the respect they have for Michigan State's defensive line. But, typically they might try to catch you out of position. They tried that time to catch the safety, Nicholson, out of position, biting down on the run, and thought they may free up Nick Vanette, but the Spartans were there. Probably now you see him go back to that combination of Zeke and JT Barrett.
Barrett runs all the way, has a crease, dives for the end zone, touchdown Ohio State. Let's make sure the ball crossed before the knee went down.
H-back. Watch 81, that block right there. He takes Lawrence Thomas out of the picture, and it's just going to come down. They have to take a peek at that knee.
Knee did hit the ground just as he was lunging toward the goal line right there.
Yeah, they'll take another look at this for sure.
Nice cut there.
Well, a lot
inside of Reschke.
These are tough looks.
Touchdown.
After review, the runner's knee was down with the ball at the 1/2-yard line, where it will be 3rd down.
Tom Herbert saw enough to overturn it. Okay.
For 13:48.
All right.
13:48.
You never know in the Big Ten.
No, one of those shots, I remember I said I thought the 6-inch line, but who knows? They were all so close there. I'm glad they're making that call, not us.
Just not indisputable.
I agree with you, Dave, but it seems.
And that's when you usually go with the call on the field, right?
Absolutely.
Elliott stacked up, didn't get there. Michigan State's front with support from Reschke, the linebacker. After the reversal, it'll now be 4th and goal.
And you're right, Chris. Reschke and Riley Bulla, the two linebackers, they're able to get involved. It's a nice job of the Michigan State defensive line of getting low man wins in these goal line situations. But to clean it up by Bulla and Reschke was very, very key, because, you know, Zeke Elliott is a second, third effort kind of back, and that the linebackers took that second, third effort away.
They do. Elliott dives, touchdown. After the fumble recovery, that drive was just about all Zeke Elliott. Fitting that he finishes it with the 4th down dive.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into a situation, you've got to trust something. You know, you don't want to get too cute. You know, even though Michigan State has such a great defensive line, a great group of linebackers, you've got to trust your offensive line, especially that left side led by Taylor Decker. And then you give it to the big physical back, Zeke Elliott, and you trust it, and it ends up coming through for you on 4th down.
Sean Nurnberger won the kicking job over Jack Willoughby. So the ball knocked loose by Hubbard, recovered by Washington, and then a methodical drive. 10 plays, 9 of them Elliott runs, and he finally finishes off over the top on 4th down as the Buckeyes jump in front in the 2nd quarter in Columbus. The captain, Josh Berry, second to last, and then Braxton Miller, the last one out on senior day, switching back to jersey number 5. Warm exchange with Urban Meyer, this senior class that came on the heels of a 7-loss season and is 48-3 in their careers, 27-1 at Ohio State.
Amazing accomplishment, and seeing Braxton Miller there, and just everything that he's been through throughout his career, the good and the bad and the challenging.
R.J. Shelton will not bring the kick out. Cook watching as O'Connor is a quarterback. Holmes in the backfield. O'Connor rolling and throws it into traffic. The ball in and out of the hands. Well, that's a play you've just got to make for your quarterback. Second down carry. Not much there for Holmes. And Michigan State, more than any other team, has ended Ohio State perfect seasons when the Buckeyes have been in the top 5. One of them that 98 game when they were given a low percentage of chance to win the game.
Yeah. Cedric Irvin had a big game that day.
So now a real challenge. Rain continuing to fall. Wind in the face of the Spartans, who are down a touchdown on 3rd and 9.
Remember, Joey Bosa, always a factor here. Ohio State loves to move him around.
O'Connor this time has time, pushes the ball downfield, coming out of bounds, and then back in was Burbridge. We saw that on the other end. Was he forced out? They're going to call this a good catch. That inside the 30.
Well, we'll get Dave in here, but it's all about the effort to get yourself back in to become an eligible receiver. You can't just stay out of bounds just because you got pushed out of bounds. You have to make an effort to work your way back in. It is kind of ironic that this happens to be the Michigan State team that got this called against him. There's the push, but if he makes his way back, he's fine.
Pass interference. Defense number 13. That penalty is declined. The result of the play is a 1st down.
He just did get a foot back down on the field of play just before the ball arrived.
He got back in time, plus he reestablished himself, as you say, Chris, by getting that foot down in bounds.
You talked earlier about how physical, kind of that hand-to-hand combat between Burbridge and Apple. That is going to be a great one-on-one battle throughout the game. That time they actually called the interference on Apple, but Michigan State declines because of the reception.
36-yard gain on 3rd and 14. Holmes from the I formation makes a cut. Nice gain, and Holmes bangs for about 10 yards on the left side before Darren Lee forced him out.
It's a heck of a run there on 1st and 10, and it's amazing after you hit a big pass play. You haven't been able to run all game, and all of a sudden it opens up the running game. And that was really just good blocking up front. The tight end, Paul Lang, ended up having one of the key blocks that allowed them to be able to set the edge, and he got up to Josh Perry and opened that up a little bit more there for Gerald Holmes, who's a physical back.
2 tight end look on 2nd and 1. Holmes just emerges from the scrum down at the 12-yard line. It's first down, Michigan State.
You know, we've seen Zeke Elliott have some chances and try to run the football, but we've not seen him have much room to run. And it's been tough for Gerald Holmes, but these last 2 plays, the Michigan State offensive line getting a hat on a hat and creating just enough room for Holmes to be able to hit a crease there and pick up some big yards on those last 2 runs.
Spartans have not been nearly as efficient in the red zone as Ohio State, and now with the young quarterback, can they produce 7 and not 3? Kings in motion. They fake it to him. O'Connor fires to the end zone. Catch made down near the pylon by Trevon Pendleton. Touchdown, Michigan State. The 5th-year senior fullback, one of the Ohioans on this roster, with just his 4th catch of the season, and a great effort.
And a great job here by the quarterback, O'Connor, of throwing the ball and throwing it. Instead of lobbing it into the corner, he put a lot of velocity on the ball. And the reason that's important is it gives his fullback a chance to catch the ball and hit the pylon cam.
What a drive and a potential confidence builder for O'Connor with that big throw on 3rd and long.
The big throw, it just changed the complexion of the drive and the feel of the quarterback, O'Connor, and the offensive line. After the long pass, they ran the ball for a couple plays, and then that set up a really nice call where they got the fullback, which they've not thrown the ball to him much. He has 3 receptions on the entire year, so kind of against their trend of what they do down in this area. Put some velocity on it, makes a heck of a catch by the big fella, and then reaches for the pylon.
His first touchdown since 2013, and Michigan State has tied the Buckeyes here in Columbus. Curtis Samuel back deep to receive the kick from Cronin, who drives it low, and it scoots through on the wet turf. Touchback. Buckeyes from the 25. And again, that front of Michigan State with support from an excellent linebacking group really playing well.
I remember Ohio State, they got the turnover. They went 32 yards in 10 plays to go 32 yards. Michigan State's defensive line, I said it on the first series, they are the real deal. They're athletic, they're confident, and they attack the line of scrimmage, and the linebackers are coming downhill. And I think Ohio State, again, they're going to have to make plays in the pass game to be able to move the ball consistently.
Barrett looked briefly to throw, now tries to run and cannot escape as Reschke cleaned it up, but Shalik Calhoun was quickly off the edge as well.
And with this speed of this defense, and you're kind of rolling out, and once you decide you're not going to throw the ball, look at this defense, how fast-flowing they are. You decide you're not going to throw it, there's just nowhere to go, because not just Calhoun, but you have Reschke there, you have Riley Bull is there almost on every single play. Look how Calhoun works off of Taylor Decker, and there's just nothing to do there for J.T. Barrett.
They've run 21 plays, Kurt. Just 2 have gained more than 5 yards. On 3rd and 17, empty backfield. Barrett flips it across the middle. Too high for Jalen Marshall. It was high and behind him. And the Buckeyes go 3 and out, and momentum swinging to the Spartan side now. Down to Heather Cox.
Chris, a little bit of a weather update for you. This, believe it or not, is Ohio State's first weather game of the season. They're using 6 balls on each side, 12 total. They've also got 8 more that are approved to use once these ones get too wet. They've got hand warmers in each of the balls to keep them, the bags, to keep them warm. And also, Michael Thomas, the receiver, switched gloves from a sticky glove to a leather glove to help him out.
He told us he might go back to the old school leather glove. High snap, Johnston. A very low kick, just bouncing along the ground here. Picked up and now returned from the 35. Johnston, a very reliable punter. That was a funky looking punt, and Grayson Miller decided to return it a few yards.
That rugby style kick, and I don't know if with the wet conditions, if he lost control of the ball or what happened there. It wasn't blocked. This will be interesting to see what happens to the football. If he just
is a total shank. It was actually deflected off of a Spartan, and then Miller, the true freshman, picked it up.
He's running right to where all the Michigan State defenders are. Looks like it went off the safety there.
Yeah, Zach Leinbach caught a little piece of it, but one of the top punters in America with a funky punt, and the Spartans set up in great field position in a tie game. So it's a 5-yard punt. One of the premier punters in the country. L.J. Scott is the tailback, lost the handle momentarily, knocked down after a loss. Remember, he's the guy that fumbled twice last week. Tyquan Lewis on the tackle.
Yeah, Tyquan Lewis, really good job of getting some penetration, but I don't know if there's the ball looked like it was in. I don't know, you fumbled a couple times last week. Maybe you start worrying and thinking about it a little bit too much for the true freshman. Just a big, raw, athletic runner that has a bright future in East Lansing. They thought eventually he might take over and become the Le'Veon Bell for this offense this year. And just, for some guys it takes a little bit longer, but he will be a future star here for the Spartans in my mind.
And 2nd and 19. O'Connor at the last minute flips it. Incomplete pass is the ruling. There was some hesitation. Was it a lateral? But O'Connor, who was in the grasp, just able to escape Bosa and get the ball away.
Well, it is tough to deal with Joey Bosa, and right now they've actually moved Donovan Clark, who plays guard and tackle. They have him out at right tackle. That is a tough matchup one-on-one for anybody. 76. Look at Bosa. He gets pushed back, just relentless, never gives up on a play, and almost comes up with a sack.
It's an example. It doesn't go down as a sack, but one of the productive plays, one of the many that he has made, and what everybody says has been a terrific year for him, despite the drop-off in sacks.
Absolutely. It's not always about the sacks and the numbers. You turn on the film and watch 97. He makes so many plays.
Very much fringe field goal range in these conditions. So in 3rd and long, they flip it short here. And this is Delton Williams, the first touch for the junior from Erie. He gets some of the lost yardage back to the 25, a more reasonable field goal attempt now.
Yeah, that's one way to deal with Joey Bosa. Just kind of bait him there as a quarterback and then shuffle pass underneath him. And at the very least, it gives him a shot here at a field goal to maybe take the lead for Michael Geiger.
A 3rd-year kicker, had a terrific freshman year. Struggled a bit mid-season slump, but he's worked his way out. Hasn't missed a kick in the last 4 games. This from 43 into the breeze. Knuckles wide. Never really had a chance. Now, if he's going to miss one, it usually does hook to the left. So a lot of tension in the horseshoe on senior day as the undefeated Buckeyes 7-7 with Michigan State. The Capital One halftime report is coming up, and Heather will speak with Mark D'Antonio right after these messages.
Coach, you had to replace Connor Cook with 2 quarterbacks, yet you go into the locker room tied. How would you assess the performance of your 2 backups?
Well, got 7 points out of it. I think we messed it up down here with the penalty and things of that nature. But, tough environment with the rain and everything else. They're doing all right.
Yeah, you talk about the conditions, playing on the road, defense playing great, but how do you gain that control that you want in the second half?
Well, I think you got to continue to stop the run and look for the opportunities we get. Got, like I said, missed opportunity down here with points. Otherwise, we might be ahead at half.
Coach, thank you.
So Ohio State's offense, Kirk, has had 4 3-and-outs. Their 1 touchdown drive was a 10-play, 32-yard drive after a takeaway. It's been very strange. Michigan State's defense deserves a lot of credit, but so does the play calling.
Ohio State had 28 plays in the first half. 16 of those plays were for 3 yards or less. So I think it tells you a lot about how they struggled offensively. And, let's face it, you lose Connor Cook with his 36 career starts, and you go on the road in this environment, and you start a young quarterback, 2 young quarterbacks, Michigan State's got to be very happy with how they played.
Well, there was a 2-play sequence there, the All-State good hands sequence here. This is the 3rd and 14 play when Burbridge is pushed out of bounds, fights back, and makes a 36-yard catch.
Yeah, I think that was the turning point in the game. It set up this touchdown, a really good throw by O'Connor, and the way he was able to place the football, and it gave Pendleton a chance to reach for that pylon, which our pylon cam caught, and it tied this football game up. That kind of changed the momentum of the game. It just wasn't a tie game. It really changed the feel in this stadium and the confidence that the Michigan State team had without Connor Cook.
We knew this Big Ten weather would play a part, but if you like your football close to the vest, this is the game for you. Forget all that, those deep shots, all that Big 12 stuff. This is just grinding stuff. Our Pacific Life game summary. 75 yards total offense for Ohio State. Barrett had the one deep shot when Braxton Miller was open, but he overthrew him.
And you'd love to be inside that locker room and wonder and hear what Urban Meyer said to that team, along with Ed Warner and Tim Beck, because they've got to make some changes. We were calling for it up here. They've got to throw the football. They've got to throw the football, even in these difficult conditions. If they want to open up their offense and try to move the ball consistently, it's the only shot they have, because they're not going to be able to run the ball against that Michigan State defense.
You rely on this excellent defense to make a play. Ohio State's defenders have scored 4 touchdowns this season. This is Holmes. Gets a couple of yards. Again, if you joined us late, Connor Cook, Ohio native, who's never played a game in the stadium, was so keyed up. But the shoulder injury he suffered last week against Maryland just couldn't deliver the ball with any velocity. So he has had to sit this one out and watch O'Connor and Terry try to operate in tough conditions.
Yeah, tough for him personally. He really wanted to play in the horseshoe growing up in Ohio at the Stowawsh Jesuit High School up in the Cleveland area. And you know, he's played against Ohio State twice, was 1-1. This is kind of the tiebreaker, and he's had to sit it out. And got to be impressed with what Dave Warner has done with Tyler O'Connor and Damian Terry in that first half. We'll see if they're able to avoid that disastrous play in the second half. That's as important as anything for these young quarterbacks.
O'Connor made a change in the play clock at 1 as he snaps it. Holmes has a little gap, ran through the arm tackle of Bosa and moves the pile for a first down. Down to Heather Cox.
Chris, you talked about the importance of this game to Connor Cook. I've been watching him throughout the first half. He's very involved, very supportive, but a little bit more background on the week. He had every intention all week long of playing. He participated in every practice. He didn't make any throws. He played in all the running plays, and then O'Connor came in for the passing plays. He did 4 hours of therapy each and every day trying to rehab that shoulder, ice and stem, and until warm-ups, when he just didn't have velocity, didn't have zip on the ball, he and D'Antonio decided to pull the plug on him.
Yeah, more hopeful than realistic, Heather. I agree with you. This is Stelton Williams. Again, a look at the injury that was suffered early in the game against Maryland. Cook is a strong guy, but he doesn't have the bulkiest upper body. He landed on that throwing shoulder, tried to come back in, didn't have a lot of zip, didn't agree with the decision to pull him out at halftime, but
that reaction right there told you that it was much serious than Michigan State was leading on this week. They were very vague and almost defensive throughout most of the week with the local media about his health.
They were very secretive, but it was a bit of a bluff from Cook as well. He told me he thought he'd be good to go, and he knew he probably wouldn't be. Williams makes his way for a short gain. It'll be 3rd and 3. Michigan State working into the wind. The rain getting heavier, perhaps snow on the way. You really feel like the next score in this game is just monstrous.
Well, I think if you're in a 7-7 game with weather and with teams struggling offensively, just by scoring points, not only does it give you the lead, it gets the other team starting to feel a little bit uneasy, and they start to panic a little bit. So that next score, for whoever it might be, will be big for either team that's able to get those points on the board, because you put so much pressure on the opposing offense.
Empty backfield on 3rd and 3. Now they motion Shelton back in. Fake the shovel pass. O'Connor just couldn't get it to him, and he's knocked down by Raekwon McMillan and Darren Lee. It'll be 4th down. Buckeyes sniffed that out.
Yeah, Buckeyes with a very, very good play there to start this second half on 3rd down. Joey Bosa is so effective. You know, it's not just the pass rush abilities, but it's his ability to defend the run. When they run option football, he helped take away R.J. Shelton that time and forced the quarterback to keep it, and then ran down the line, and it was involved in the stop to keep him short of the first down.
And now Jake Hartbarger, the wind just howling in his face. Just hoping he could get the snap and get it away. You just sense that every punt, Kirk, is a potential misadventure in this game.
For both sides.
Absolutely. Coverage team touches it at the 12, and that's where Ohio State will take over. Deadlock 3rd quarter. Well, number 8,975, a new attendance record here. Although some fans, I think, have made the choice to head home and watch this in a warmer, drier place. Many are still here huddled, hoping their Buckeyes can make a play here. Barrett with the keeper, has some space, and that's the first down they've made since their touchdown drive.
What's interesting here is Shalik Calhoun slips and falls. Watch him on the end of the line of scrimmage. He goes down, and that's what gave J.T. Barrett a little bit of room to be able to get away from that pressure that he's felt on almost every single snap from this defensive line. So the conditions and the footing there of Calhoun opened that up for J.T. Barrett.
We wonder what Meyer and Beck and Ed Warner will think about calling in this drive. And that time Barrett is hammered immediately by Joel Heath. Craig Evans there. You know, it's easier to throw this direction into the wind of the fourth quarter. It's going to be a little tougher. Even.
Yeah, it will be. The conditions are going to get worse and worse. But, boy, how about Craig Evans, a freshman out of Wisconsin? He gets off of his block and shows the speed of the big fella, 318 pounds, closed in on the ball carrier. Boy, he is this entire defensive line so far has just had a great football game.
This is Evans' kind of game, right? He is pure run stopper in the interior line. They motion Miller out from the backfield, and it's Barrett straight ahead. And he's fighting hard and will move backwards to gain yards. It'll set up a 3rd and 3 now.
Just sure willpower from J.T. Barrett. There was not a whole lot of room there once again into the interior of the Michigan State defense. The strength of their defense. Ohio State continuing to challenge the Michigan State defensive line and linebackers. He stopped right there for about a 2-yard gain, but just continues to give great effort. He's not done yet. Picks up another 3 or 4 yards.
They need 3 on 3rd down. Empty backfield again. Bunch formation to the right. You wouldn't bet against a quarterback keeper here. And the Spartans are ready for it. They slam Barrett down short of the 1st down, and some boos come out.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it, I saw it, and you know who more importantly saw it? Harlan Barnett, Mark D'Antonio, and the Michigan State defense. And actually, Damon Knox that time got off of his block. Seems like we're calling different names the entire time. We've called McDowell and Lawrence Thomas, Joel Heath, Shalik Calhoun, Demetrius Cooper, Craig Evans, and now Damon Knox.
That's a great point. We've seen them rotate in with success. The linebackers have made a bunch of plays. We hardly talked about this secondary, which has been a weakness.
It's because they haven't been tested.
I agree.
You have to throw the ball to be able to talk about the secondary.
Johnston has been tested a few times today, and that one is mishandled by Kings. Gets away. And the Buckeyes cover it at the 5. Is that the mistake that can decide the game?
We just talked about these two teams are trying to avoid the disastrous play. Both teams are erring on the side of being cautious. Nobody wants to be the guy that's going to make the mistake. And here's Kings making that mistake. With the wind and the rain, the ball gets away from him. And a good effort by the Ohio State coverage team getting down there. Looked like the freshman Terry McLaurin is able to come down there and get on top of the football. There's the mistake. And Ohio State now gets great field position to see if they can capitalize.
Well, I'll tell you, D'Antonio can't believe it on a day like this. Just better let that thing bounce.
I think he's actually just trying to say, hey, it's all right, you got to shake it. He's not going to lay into him right there. Maybe in the film room, but not right there.
In the swirling wind, it looked like the ball got away from him at the last minute. He had to extend his arms. So 1st and goal for Ohio State at the 6. Barrett, pop pass, touchdown, Marshall, a one-handed catch, and Ohio State takes the lead. First pass attempt we've seen in the second half.
They've been running and running and running and running, and especially inside that 5-yard line, Michigan State is thinking more about the run game. They were lined up to stop J.T. Barrett from running the football. Overcrowded the line of scrimmage, created a one-on-one opportunity on the outside.
Sophomore Nürnberger, last year's kicker, who has just earned the job back with the PAT. Buckeyes 14-7.
Here is Harris, the linebacker. Here's Jalen Marshall. But by showing run, you get the linebackers out of position, and it creates a nice big window behind them. But it's a matchup right there with Jalen Marshall against a linebacker. He's going to win that matchup every single time. And Urban Meyer, Ed Warner, and Tim Beck just waiting for the right time to try to call some play action, call some pass plays, and they wait after the big turnover the first play. J.T. Barrett baits the linebackers in the one-on-one matchup with Marshall and Harris. And the Buckeyes score another touchdown.
Crowd, which had been shivering silently, is now alive on its feet. And with the wind at his back, an easy touchback. So now they go back to Tyler O'Connor. There was Terry in the last series. And the fourth-year junior from Lima. And the Spartan offense facing a 7-point deficit. Holmes tests the left end. The last time this offense fell behind after a Michigan State miscue, they were able to answer Ohio State with a long touchdown drive.
Yeah, they're running into the boundary, and that Ohio State defensive line was actually slanting and angling into the boundary. And Adolphus Washington continues to have a great football game. He just kind of waited and waited and waited with the block of Brian Allen, and then got off of him, threw him away, and made the play on Holmes.
They flip it back to Shelton, and the change of direction, and the receiver breaks loose, first down and more across the 40 before McMillan draw him out.
Yeah, got Ohio State napping. Actually got Josh Perry out of position. Watch him right here at linebacker. See how he moves out of the way. And by him following the play to the field, there's nobody there to be able to slow this down. Then he picks up a couple good blocks, and there's the speed. He just outran Adolphus Washington. And Michigan State with a big gain there, a little misdirection. Catch Ohio State napping.
First touch for Shelton, who's usually a key part of this offense from his slot position. It's the longest running play of the game, 19 yards. Holmes, left side, Bosa dragging him down, but not before a 5-yard gain.
Well, they are doing a lot of slanting. Watch the defensive line slanting and angling. They're moving this way. Joey Bosa, see Darren Lee blitzing. He's got to get off the block of Clark, and pretty impressive with Holmes and the leg strength there to carry Joey Bosa for about 4 or 5 yards. That's a heck of an effort.
Strong as a dude as there is.
Yeah.
On 2nd and 5, Sports free. Center set into the secondary, and Michigan State moving another first down to the Ohio State 37.
How about Jack Allen? Just a nasty leader on that offensive line. Takes on Raekwon McMillan, who's blitzing right in the middle. You'll see number 5 blitz right there. Boom, 66 does a great job of picking up that block. You also saw Brandon Clemens, 64. Some good blocks up front. Took Darren Lee out of the picture, and again, Gerald Holmes with a little bit of room to run with.
First down play. It's O'Connor keeps it and dives for 4 in the final minute of the third quarter. Jalen Holmes made the tackle. The rain has now stopped, but the wind is still whipping, and when they turn around for the fourth quarter, it'll be at the back of Michigan State.
Definitely see that wind. You brought up a good point about the fourth quarter. Michigan State will have the wind at their back in that fourth quarter.
Michigan State, this would be an incredibly impressive performance by this offense if they were able to answer Ohio State's one-play touchdown drive. Holmes behind Pendleton, but he cuts back to the left. And flying in there to make the tackle is Jalen Holmes on Gerald Holmes.
Yeah.
And it'll be third down when the final quarter starts here. Ohio State's 23-game winning streak. 12 straight at home on the line, as well as playoff hopes for both teams. Final quarter coming up after this message and a word from your local ABC station.
2 yards and a touchdown, and a drive for 6 yards and a touchdown. So collectively they have driven 38 yards for their 2 touchdowns. But the benefit of a +2 in the turnover margin is the reason they've got their points.
105 yards total offense for Ohio State through 3 quarters. Michigan State facing a 3rd and 8. You wonder if this is a 4-down territory for D'Antonio's offense.
Remember, Aaron Burbridge is the go-to man in these situations typically.
Empty backfield. 4-man rush. O'Connor delivers in the pocket, and it's incomplete. Raekwon McMillan was all over the receiver Burbridge there, and so now a 4th and 8. They don't get anything in the 3rd down play, and will that shape the decision?
It's a really tough call at the beginning of the 4th quarter. You know, you either are going to go for this, or you're probably going to punt it and try to pin Ohio State inside the 5 or 10 yard line.
Even with the wind at his back, this would be a 52-yard field goal attempt for Geiger, which is a little too optimistic. 4th down. Can the Spartans keep the drive going? O'Connor in traffic, keeps it. 1st down and more, down inside the 20.
Wow, watch the push on the right side by Joey Bosa and Adolphus Washington. They push him back, but he gets around it and then cuts underneath the block of Josiah Price. Boy, a good push by Ohio State, but a nice job by Tyler O'Connor getting around it and then picking up the yards.
And now the Spartans operate with tempo after making the 1st down. Holmes slipped down after 2 yards.
Well, that Tyler O'Connor there, Chris, for a guy that has not played a lot of football and is known as more of a passer, Terry more the option guy, really good instincts in field there on a crucial 4th down, getting around that penetration and push of Washington and Bosa, and then the field to be able to get behind the block of Josiah Price. There's a big-time play there on 4th down by the junior.
He trots off, and Damian Perry, the sophomore, comes back in. Terry, run all the way, makes a cut. Collision, knocked down by Joshua Perry. It'll be 3rd and short. Michigan State didn't attempt to pass in the 3rd quarter. And now Terry having to limp off. You'd think this would be his kind of play on 3rd and 3.
For yards and drives have been very, very tough to come by for both these offenses. 10 plays and 63 yards so far on this drive from Michigan State.
Is D'Antonio thinking 2 plays to get the 3 yards here and forget about the field goal attempt? You have to wonder. O'Connor, straight keeper, makes a cut, 1st and goal.
Boy, great patience. I thought he might pitch it, but he hung on to it. He's going to get Eli Apple, 13, right there. But a good little head and shoulder fake. Apple went out onto the pitch. And another great job there by Tyler O'Connor. Just a good feel running the option for Michigan State.
And Michigan State has moved 68 yards in 11 plays, trying to recover from the disastrous fumble punt. 2 tight end look. Holmes makes a cut, slips a tackle, and powers down to the 2.
Really good vision there by Gerald Holmes, sophomore out of Flint, Michigan. Play was designed to go to the right, but the Ohio State defense collapsed to his left. And like all great backs, you got to have vision, especially down inside that 5-yard line. He was able to pick up some positive yards for Michigan State, get it down to the 2-yard line. But that was just another good feel in the vision.
Holmes the tailback. Pendleton in the backfield. It's Holmes. Met quickly, but spins and reaches for a touchdown. They'll take another look, but another great effort by Gerald Holmes.
Yeah, I think he got across. You're right about the effort. He got hit right there by Tyquan Lewis. The knee is not touched until he breaks the plane. That looks like a touchdown to me.
A 75-yard drive in 13 plays took 6.5 minutes after Ohio State had cashed in the fumble punt for a touchdown. What a performance from this offense with 2 backup quarterbacks today.
this team is playing with an edge to them. We heard all week about how upset they were, about how big of underdog they were. They felt disrespected, and they have played without Connor Cook. They played with an attitude. I love the option here to keep this drive alive by Tyler O'Connor. Got him down inside the 5-yard line, and the rest of the way with Gerald Holmes showing toughness, running right through Tyquan Lewis and into the end zone for the touchdown to tie it up.
Michigan State to kick off now after a long, punishing touchdown drive on the ground. Tremendous resilience shown by this team. Cronin's boot once again through the end zone. Miller's in the slot to the left, and Barrett thought about looking downfield, now just throws into the bench under heavy pressure there by Lawrence Thomas, and no flag.
Well, it's really, really good coverage. I think the coaches were thinking the same thing. They wanted to go downfield, but they took all the receivers away. And Lawrence Thomas came at J.T. Barrett high after he threw the football, but he was close enough that as soon as he threw the ball, he made contact, and he followed through and ended up coming down on top of him.
The discussion whether or not it was grounding. The ball did go beyond the line.
And he's also outside of the tackle box, so as long as it goes past the line of scrimmage, he's okay.
But Thomas brought all 305 right down on top of the quarterback there. Ohio State at 105 yards. Kirk through 3 quarters. No team all season, all of college football, had the lead after 3 with that few yards. Elliott just nowhere to escape. Got a yard, but Thomas and Bulla closed it down.
Yeah, it's slow developing play against a defense that's attacking downhill. Defensive linemen and linebackers that are playing with confidence and don't feel threatened. When you don't feel threatened downfield, you just pin your ears down and you take away J.T. Barrett's running and you take away Zeke Elliott's running, and until something happens to make you come out of that mentality, that's what you're going to do, especially on 1st and 2nd down. So far, boy, give Mark D'Antonio and this defensive staff all the credit in the world for the plan they put together.
Buckeyes need 9 on 3rd down. Barrett facing a blitz, delivers near side, catch made by Van Nett, but not enough for the 1st down. They'll be 4 yards short. See if he did get the feet down, but that time Michigan State brought a bunch of pressure.
They sure did. Something, they've not been bringing a ton of pressure with man coverage, but this time they did, and Monte Nicholson was caught with his eyes in the backfield. There was a big cushion between the tight end and the safety, Nicholson, who had him, but because of the pressure, Barrett had to get the ball out of his hands quickly, and Ohio State well short of the 1st down.
Made a change at punt returner R.J. Shelton in after Kings mishandled that last punt, and he's not even going to field it. Just let the thing bounce, and the Buckeyes do a tremendous job. Among the best in the country. They knock it dead down at the 2-yard line. Gary and Conley, a starting corner down there, made the play, and Michigan State will be pinned back, taking over in this tie game. Brown trying to make it tough on the young quarterback, and a true freshman tailback, L.J. Scott, in the I formation. Scott has it and bursts forward. Nice gain, still running, protecting the ball, but making yards out to the 24.
Boy, nice job being pinned back deep in their own territory. Ohio State's thinking about flipping the field. Watch the lineman get up. Nice block again by the center, Jack Allen. You also saw him get up to the 2nd level. And again, with L.J. Scott, a physical runner, but you can see when you don't slow him down, he's got some speed as well.
An Ohio State team that is used to bullying people at the line of scrimmage. They are being outplayed in the trenches on both sides.
Both sides of the ball from the beginning of the game, from the opening series of the game.
Scott cuts it back, picks up about 5. Heather?
Well, Chris, you noticed in that last Sparty possession, no Damian Terry option in the red zone. The reason, he tweaked his right ankle, had it retaped over his shoe. He's walking very gingerly, but head athletic trainer Sally Noble told me he is cleared to return, so Michigan State can go back to that 2-quarterback system if they choose.
Heather, thank you. You'd figure that would just be in an emergency situation.
Yeah.
This looks like O'Connor's
I think
game now.
O'Connor has really settled into the game. Ever after the throw that he made to Burbridge on that fade that set up their first touchdown to Pendleton, he seems to just have relaxed, and he's just playing right now.
Again, this is Scott, and the freshman showing the strength. Again, yet another Ohioan on this roster, highly motivated to play as a young guy and bounce back from that 2-fumble performance last week.
Yeah, it's a good point. And you know how a young back, when he makes a mistake, and 2 mistakes in last week's game, how badly he wants to be able to get his hands on the football. I admire the Michigan State coaches for going right back to him. Tonight they've given him the ball 6 times and averaging close to 7 yards a carry.
Scott again fights forward for 2, and Kirk with the methodical pace of this game. You check the clock now. We're down inside of 7 minutes. Michigan State would love to just continue to churn and chew and eat at the clock and perhaps just win the game on this possession.
Remember the last possession that they had when they put points on the board, they didn't have to put the ball in the air. They moved the ball and chewed up a lot of clock. And if you're Ohio, look at it, they only have 1 pass attempt in the entire second half. You're Ohio State, an offense that struggled throughout the entire game. You go down even by a field goal here, you start to get concerned.
O'Connor on 2nd and 8 is pressured, has to just throw it away. It was very quick penetration from Michael Hill, a backup defensive tackle.
Well, it's a zone blitz where they bring the pressure with Darren Lee right here. But interesting, they drop Joey Bosa. And by dropping Joey Bosa, he gets into the throwing lane of where O'Connor wanted to go with the ball. He got in between O'Connor and Kings, who he was throwing to. It's an interesting mix-up, a change there by Luke Fickell and Chris Ash to drop one of the best pass rushers, but he did it at the right time, right into that passing lane of O'Connor.
O'Connor's been able to convert a couple of 3rd and longs this afternoon. O'Connor looks to throw. Broken up nicely by Gary and Conley. Tried to get the ball to Kings on a slant. But the sophomore corner was right there.
Yeah, nice job by Conley anticipating the quick slant or a quick throw on 3rd and short, and does a really good job of working his body around the receiver and uses the right hand to knock the football away. No pass interference, got his body around. It's a great ISO look at it right there. Gets his hands around and knocks the football away to set up this punt.
So they decide not to try to run it on 3rd and 3. And the Buckeyes defense gets a much needed stop. Hartbarger driving Marshall back. He'll just let it bounce. And now it's Michigan State's turn to do a nice job in coverage. Ohio State backed up at their 7. 5:49 left. Buckeyes' worst starting field position of the game, back at their 7-yard line. 128 yards for Barrett and company. Total offense so far. It's Marshall in motion. Quarterback looking to throw from his end zone, looking for Thomas downfield. Jump ball broken up, almost intercepted. Arjun Colquhoun was in coverage there, and that's the problem with throwing into a stiff wind.
A stiff wind, and also he got pressure from Lawrence Thomas, and it looked like he may have thrown that football off of his back foot. It just didn't have a whole lot to it. The ball is thrown short of Thomas, and really good positioning there by Colquhoun. And it's one of the few times we've seen Ohio State at least be willing to take a shot and throw the ball downfield.
We talked about it, though, Kirk. It's going to be tough in this quarter, into this wind. That one hung up. Thomas never had a chance. Then swirling around now. Barrett knocked down again. John Reschke, the linebacker who moved over to the strong position when Ed Davis got hurt preseason, played a terrific game.
Well, he's played a terrific game, and he's had a terrific year. The sophomore who, you talk to these coaches. Mark Snyder, who's a linebacker coach, who's a Texas A&M defensive coordinator, said he's just been blown away by how consistent he has been and understanding his role there in that Sam linebacker spot.
And now the Buckeyes need 9. And if they can't get a first down here, Johnson's going to have to kick into this wind. Michigan State could get excellent field position. But they gamble a bit. It's Miller on the toss. Makes one man miss. Cannot escape. Braxton Miller knocked down at the 11. Riley Bulla. Demetrius Cox. More grumbling from the crowd now.
Now it's Riley Bulla who does a good job of containing the speedy Braxton Miller, number 30. But you also see Demetrius Cox get involved right there. Bulla gets him to force him back to the inside where Cox and the rest of the white Spartan jerseys are waiting for him.
And the Buckeye fans will hold their breath. As Cameron Johnston, excellent punter, has already had a crazy low punt earlier in the game. It's Shelton at midfield. And that kick just knocked down by the wind.
Actually, the ball was touched there by Malik. Big defensive tackle there, Malik McDowell.
Wow.
Got a hand on that ball.
They've been pressuring Johnston all afternoon.
Yeah, he finally got to it because he ran into the punter after he punted the ball. But right there, you could see he touches it, so he ran into it, and the punter looked up to say, hey, give me the call. But the ball was touched by Malik McDowell, meaning there is no running into the punter or roughing the punter.
Just a fingertip touched by McDowell.
Right there. Index finger, his left index finger.
37-yard punt, and Michigan State, with 4:07 to play, will set up in Ohio State territory, trying to take command of this division.
Amazing. You can lose a starting quarterback for 3 years, 32-4, and come into this environment with a couple guys that haven't played a lot and be in position to maybe win this game.
L.J. Scott reverses direction. He will be knocked down after a 3-yard gain.
You know, when you lose, when something happens like that to you, you either panic and everybody has deer in the headlights, oh gosh, what are we going to do? Or you kind of rally around the backup quarterbacks, and the defense says, hey, we got your back, and the offense says, hey man, we're going to help you out. And watching them play now for 56 minutes, it really feels like they've rallied around the question mark of losing Connor Cook.
And I totally agree. This is a team that had the chip back in its shoulder after their controversial late loss in Lincoln. And this is the Michigan State team you sort of expect to see
all
on defense.
Yep.
Second and 8, got to hurry. Play clock at 1. O'Connor delivers complete far side. Burbridge can't escape. Knocked down a yard short of the marker by Apple. Third down.
Great awareness there by Tyler O'Connor, a guy that hadn't played a lot of football. There are a lot of guys that get out there that played a lot of football. They're not aware of the play clock. He was making some checks, moving the line the way he needed to, completely aware of managing the game and understanding the play clock. Clapped his hands real quick to let the veteran Jack Allen know he needed that snap. And a little thing that could go unnoticed, but a good job again by O'Connor.
That was the first completed pass by Michigan State in the second half. Scott in the game. Deep in the eye on 3rd and 1, but it's a keeper. O'Connor has got it.
Well, how about a surge right there on 3rd and short?
Jack Allen, the captain, leading the way.
Leading the way up front. A good push. Brian Allen, his brother's in there, left guard. Jack Conklin. And don't forget, watch the fullback get. He's got to get involved. Trent Pendleton, he's going to push and try to help out. It's a new rule now in college football. You can get behind and help out.
This has just turned into a rugby game, hasn't it? First down. 2:10 to play. Scott hammers to the 30, and the clock becomes a major component here. Ohio State wondering if they're going to see the football again, frankly.
You know, the wear and tear of Michigan State running the football now 47 times against this Ohio State defense. Those are body blows that Mark D'Antonio's offense has put on the Ohio State defense. And as talented as the Buckeyes are up front, you have to endure that over and over and over again. You start to see the Michigan State backs have a little bit more room to work, and you got to give credit to the Michigan State offensive line for being that physical.
They are working the play clock now. 1.5 minutes to play. Scott. Pass pocket. as he's knocked down at the 29. It'll be 3rd and 2.
Yeah, Luke Fickell and Chris Ash anticipating a conservative approach. Obviously, now we're down close to a minute to go in this game, and a field goal potentially wins it. They are attacking. They're blitzing linebackers. They're bringing their safeties down, trying not to give up even another yard to give Michigan State a chance with Geiger to potentially hit the game-winning field goal.
Geiger, an experienced kicker. It's his 3rd year. He's an Ohio kid from Toledo. Kicked a 47-yarder in warm-up in this direction. That would be about the distance if they don't gain another yard. Final minute. Scott again. Spins. Leans. First down, Michigan State. And now the Spartans, with all 3 timeouts, will begin to conserve time, you'd believe.
Yeah, it's a good effort there. Look at him work, trying to pull the senior Josh Perry. There's also some good blocks on that right side. Donovan Clark, another guy from Ohio out of Cincinnati. Nice job being able to get up to the linebackers.
This is a very emotional kicker, by the way. He can be feisty, and he's had his ups and downs this season. Missed one left, an ugly-looking kick from 43 earlier today.
That's why you see the players coming over to try to get him ready in the right mindset. But where do they want to try to put the football?
Scott stacked up. He'll lose a yard. If you're the Michigan State offensive line, you'd love to say, wait a minute, let's not just leave it on the kicker here. Let's continue pushing. Let's try to make this a comfortable field goal attempt. And Michigan State will spend their first timeout. 25 seconds. Spartans with that timeout remaining. Love to get Geiger close. At the moment, it would still be a 42-yard attempt if they don't get any closer. Scott makes the cut, but McMillan lets him go no farther than the 23. Von Bell combining, and the clock ticking down. 13 seconds.
Interesting that they had the ball in the middle of the field, and now they're on the right hash. Very, very different. Very, very different. From the middle of the field to the right hash. Remember, he hooked one earlier. He missed one earlier in this game in the 2nd quarter.
The wind has been swirling around. It's very tricky. And Michael Geiger, Toledo, Ohio, a junior. A chance to snap Ohio State's win streak at 23. Give the Spartans the command in this division. Keep their dreams alive for winning the conference and making the playoff.
I wonder if Ohio State, with the 2 timeouts, will freeze him, or if they'll let him go ahead and attempt this without calling the timeout.
From 41 yards, Geiger for the win. Got it! Michigan State, as gutsy as it gets, spoils senior day, snaps Ohio State win streak, and takes command of the Big Ten East behind 2 backup quarterbacks and an Ohio native kicker and a tremendous defense.
Pretty incredible to think that L.J. Scott's last run moved the ball from the middle of the field to the right hash, and Geiger would probably be the first one to tell you he didn't necessarily hit that ball the cleanest that he's ever kicked a field goal, and it had a little bit of a spin on it. It was moving to the left in a hurry, and if that ball's not on the right hash, I don't know if it goes through the uprights, but it ended up getting through. And I'll tell you, Tyler O'Connor deserves so much credit for the effort and what he did replacing the quarterback, Connor Cook.
It's from Tabor Pepper, Maxwood with the hold, and Geiger knocking it through. And then he did about a 22 windmills of the right arm running down the field. That's about as sweet as it gets for a kicker back in his home state to beat Ohio State.
Grew up in Toledo, went to Ottawa Hills High School up in northwest part of the state of Ohio, and can imagine he's dreamed about an opportunity like this his whole life.
And Michigan State, Kirk, continues to be one of those programs that when they are counted out or doubted, just steps up and delivers again and again. And this one stings for Urban Meyer. This would be the second potential national title shot denied by Michigan State in what's been a brilliant 4 years here for Urban. To Heather Cox.
All right, Chris, Coach, congratulations on the win. You come in as an underdog. You guys played with a chip on your shoulder and prepped all week that way without your starting quarterback. How did you guys get it done?
Yeah, no, we just keep reaching higher, I guess. You know, we just keep talking about it, just be mentally tough. And we said coming into this year that we needed to reach higher, and this was the day we had to do that. Chips are a little bit against us, and I thought the one thing that made a difference, you know, we've been chased all year long so far in 10 games. In this game, we got to be the chaser, so we could chase this game, and so we could play on emotion.
And it seemed like a lot of that came from your defense. Amazing to think that they held the Ohio State Buckeyes to under 150 yards. How were they able to really limit anything that the Buckeyes could do on the field?
First thing we had to do was win up front on both sides of the ball, and I thought we did that. Second thing we had to do was allow no explosive plays. Obviously, we gave away 2 turnovers, but big turnovers, but we rallied back, and that's just an attitude, you know. We rallied back.
You said that all of your goals are in front of you. How does this win help you achieve those goals?
Well, I think if we win the next game, we'll go in the Big Ten championship game, so that's a start.
Coach, and a quick prognosis on Connor Cook and his availability for next week.
Well, we hope. I think he'll be back, you know, but it's a day-to-day thing. You know, the human body can do amazing things with it.
We'll let you enjoy this win, Mark. Congratulations.
Spartan Nation.
Total team win for O'Connor in that defense.
Tyler O'Connell, Damian Terry, boy, they will go down forever remembered as the quarterbacks that led Michigan State to a big win in Columbus against number 3 Ohio State.
Spartans stun the Buckeyes, take command of the East, and step very much into the playoff picture. 17-14 is the final in the Horseshoe. Tonight on ABC, playoff contender Oklahoma against TCU, presented by Walmart. For Kirk Herbstreit, Heather Cox, and our entire crew, Chris Fowler is saying so long. The Scoreboard and John Saunders coming up right now.